I bought my house in 2019. A colonial revival in upstate New York, built in 1931. The previous owner had died with no family. The estate sold it cheap. I thought I was lucky. I was wrong. What I found in that basement changed my life, and I am still not sure if I should have ever looked. The first 2 years were normal. I renovated the kitchen, replaced the windows, fixed the roof. The basement was unfinished. Concrete floors, stone walls, old wooden shelves filled with junk the previous owner left behind. I ignored it mostly, used it for storage, never spent more time down there than I needed to. Then the winter of 2021 hit. Record. The pipes froze. I had to go down there every day to check for leaks. That is when I noticed something strange. One section of the basement wall was different. The stones were the same. The mortar looked identical, but the temperature was wrong. When I put my hand against that section, it was noticeably colder than the surrounding wall, like there was empty space behind it. I told myself it was nothing. Old houses have quirks. Air pockets. Settling foundations. I had 100 other things to worry about, but I could not stop thinking about it. 3 weeks later, I went back down with a flashlight and a hammer. I told myself I was just checking for structural issues, that I needed to know if there was a void behind the wall that could cause problems. I tapped along the stones. Most of them sounded solid, dense, but one section, about 3 feet wide, sounded hollow. My heart started beating faster. I did not know why. It was just an old wall. I found a loose stone near the bottom, worked it free with a screwdriver. Behind it was darkness and cold air. Moving air. Like something was breathing back there. I should have stopped. Called someone. A contractor. An inspector. Anyone. Instead, I kept pulling stones. It took me 2 hours to create an opening large enough to crawl through. My hands were bleeding, my bike at, but I could not stop. Behind that wall was a room that did not exist on any blueprint, that no inspector had ever mentioned, that the realtor knew nothing about. It was small, maybe 8 feet by 10 feet, concrete floor, low ceiling, no windows, no electrical outlets, no ventilation except for a small pipe running up through the foundation, and it was not empty. Against the far wall was a metal shelf. On it were boxers, old cardboard boxers, the kind they used in the 1950s and 60s, 12 of 10, neatly arranged, covered in decades of dust. In the corner was a chair, a single wooden chair facing the wall, and on the floor, near the chair, were scratches. Deep scratches in the concrete, like someone had dragged something heavy, or like someone had tried to claw their way out. I stood in that room for a long time. I do not know how long. The cold crept into my bones. The silence was absolute. I could hear my own heartbeat echoing off the walls. I should have left everything alone. Called the police. Let professionals handle it. But I opened the first box. Inside were documents. Hundreds of pages. Typed on old typewriters. Some handwritten in cramped, precise script. Official letterheads I did not recognize. Stamps marked classified and for internal use only. The dates ranged from 1952 to 1967. I am not going to tell you everything those documents contained. I am not sure I legally can, but I will tell you what I understood. The previous owner of my house had worked for a government agency. Not one of the famous ones. Something smaller, more specialized. Something that officially did not exist. His job, from what I could piece together, involved monitoring certain activities in the northeastern United States. Unusual activities. Things that local police reported but could not explain. Things that were quickly classified and forgotten. The documents described incidents, dates, locations, witness interviews, photographs. Some of it seemed mundane. Lights in the sky that turned out to be military aircraft. Strange sounds that were traced to industrial equipment. Hysteria and hoaxes. But some of it was different. There were files on people. Ordinary people who had reported seeing things. Experiencing things. People who were interviewed once, twice, sometimes dozens of times over years. People who were monitored, surveilled. Some of them had thick files documenting their entire lives. A few of those files ended abruptly. Final entries that simply said relocated or case closed, see Archive 7. I never found Archive 7. In the 7th box, I found photographs, black and white. Grainy. Some were clearly surveillance photos taken from a distance. Others were clinical, medical, bodies on tables. Close-ups of injuries I did not understand. I stopped looking after that. I sat in that hidden room for hours, the boxers around me. The weight of decades pressing down. I did not know what to do. If I reported this, what would happen? Would anyone believe me? Would I be in danger? Who had built this room? Why had these documents been hidden here instead of destroyed? I made a decision that night. I do not know if it was the right one. I took photographs of everything, hundreds of photographs. I documented every box, every file, every page I could without removing anything. Then I sealed the room back up, put the stones back, mortared them in place, made it look like it had never been opened. I told myself I would figure out what to do later, that I needed time to think. That was 3 years ago. I have not opened that wall again, but I have researched quietly, carefully, using public libraries, old newspaper archives, records that anyone can access. The previous owner of my house was named Harold Clement. He worked for the Department of Agriculture from 1948 to 1971. At least, that is what his official records say, but there is no evidence he ever did any agricultural work. No publications, no field reports, no colleagues who remember him. He lived in my house alone for over 50 years. Never married. No children. Few babysitters. Neighbors described him as quiet, polite, forgettable. He died in 2018 at the age of 90. Natural causes. I found his obituary. 3 sentences in the local paper. No funeral service. No memorial. For a man who lived in this community for half a century, he left almost no trace, except for those boxers, hidden behind a wall, in a room that does not exist. I have thought about going public, contacting journalists, reaching out to researchers who investigate government secrecy. But every time I start, I stop, because I have noticed things since I found that room. A car that parks on my street that I do not recognize. Always different models. Always occupied. Always gone when I look too long. Phone calls where no one speaks. Just silence. Then a click. My internet history showing searches I never made, websites I never visited. Maybe I am paranoid. Maybe finding those documents broke something in my brain, made me see patterns that are not there. Or maybe someone knows what I found. I do not know who built that room. I do not know why Harold Clement kept those files instead of destroying them. I do not know what really happened to the people in those photographs. But I know one thing. That room was not meant to be found. Those documents were not meant to be read. And whatever Harold Clement was really doing in this house for 50 years, it was not agricultural research. I still live here. I still walk over that sealed wall every time I go to the basement. I still wonder what else might be hidden. In the walls, under the floors, in places I have not thought to look. Some nights, I hear sounds, creaking that I tell myself is just an old house settling. Footsteps that I convince myself are my imagination. I tell myself I am safe, that whatever happened here ended decades ago, that I am just a normal person who bought a house and found some old papers. But I keep the photographs backed up in 3 different locations. I've written down everything I know, sealed it in an envelope with instructions for what to do if something happens to me. Just in case. My name is not important. Where I live is not important. What matters is that this happened. That hidden rooms exist in houses across this country. That ordinary people stumble onto secrets they were never meant to find. I was told this house had no history. That the previous owner was a quiet government clerk who lived an unremarkable life. I found something hidden in my basement, and everything changed. I still do not know the full truth. Maybe I never will, but I know that Harold Clement was watching something, documenting something, for decades. And now I wonder, is someone watching me? The next story I will share is not mine. It belongs to someone else. Someone who found something they should not have found. Something far more dangerous than old documents. They contacted me after I started asking questions. They said I needed to know what happens when you dig too deep. They said some discoveries cannot be undiscovered, and some doors, once opened, can never be closed again.